Hello, my name is Roman Havrylyuk from ORIL, and this is Innovation Blueprint, where we explore PropTech, tech landscape, tech startups, data, AI, and IoT, and everything related to PropTech. Today, we're joined by David Lovins, CEO of the Warren Group, a comprehensive property intelligence platform. Happy to have you on this podcast, David. And to kick things off, please give us a brief overview of the company and your role.
Thanks, Roman, and thanks for having me on your podcast. So the Warren Group, we've been around for a little over 150 years. And we've been doing the same thing since 1872. So my role as CEO, which I started the company back 30 years ago in the world of IT. So I've seen how the company has grown over the years, but we're predominantly data 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Even though we do still have our newspaper industry, which is still small part of our organization, majority of what we do is data, consuming public records information throughout the country.
Gotcha. Thank you. And when I first learned about the age of the company, I was really surprised. Being at that phase and maintaining the technology realities is quite impressive. And as you know, David, we've had a chance to explore some of the capabilities that the Warren Group provides, and it is a very comprehensive database by any standard. So it's impressive, very impressive.
Thank you.
David, can you tell us a little bit more about the typical clients that you serve? Who are your typical clients?
Yeah, it's interesting. Because we have so many different data sets, we probably have around 15 to 20 different data sets in the real estate space. It covers, property, deed, mortgage, bankruptcies, building permits, rental data. We do have a vast amount of industries that we do cover, and it is quite challenging. We probably go after around 40 to 50 different industries throughout the real estate market. So we get into PropTech and FinTech and InsurTech and realtor space and lenders and home services and a lot others. So we do touch on anything that has to do with real estate for the most part, which is very vast out there. So people are always looking for information regarding anything touching real estate.
Yep. Thank you. And compared to other companies in a similar position, what differentiates you from from some of your closest competition?
I think we're the oldest company that has been collecting data in the country. Again, 1872, still doing the same thing. What we are, I kind of look at this, we're kind of small and mighty. We're a much smaller organization than a lot of the competition that we have out there. And in some cases, we feed a lot of our data to those larger companies. What I think what really differentiates us is that we really understand where the data is coming from, how to collect the information, how to synthesize it, how to normalize it. And when we're talking to customers, we really understand the data. I think a lot of other companies are just selling data, but doesn't really understand how the real grassroots of collecting data really is and what it really means and how to use it. So we are very much I would say a boutique type organization where we customize the solution because we know what they are looking for. So we don't do cookie cutter sales effort. We don't try to talk people into more than they need. We try to figure out and analyze exactly what the customer is looking for, which I think differentiates us because a lot of the other companies are just trying to sell bulk data and letting the customer trying to figure out what's going on.
You told us about your, let's call it a typical customer base. What I like to ask is broadening the horizons. And I've heard very interesting use cases from other companies that work in this space. What would you say be your top, let's say, two very unexpected ways or unexpected customers that work with you that would be outside of your regular customers?
That's a very good question. It's actually hard to answer. I mean, we've had some strange customers coming in. We've had people looking for pizza shops as a crazy example, and it's a learning experience for me and for the company of figuring out how people are using it. I think with the invention of AI, there are a lot of people thinking of a whole bunch of different ways on how to analyze the data, using the data. So every time I've talked to a customer, it's always a custom solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's always coming in that it's not the typical. It's not the I'm building a portal that people can come in and look at property information or sales information or mortgage information because I'm doing some analysis. It's really trying to find the needle in the haystack. And so I would say that 80 to 90% of the customers that come in are always coming with a unique solution, which is good and bad. You're learning a lot as you go and trying to figure out how to get them what they're looking for.
I think the overall market awareness also evolves over time. The, let's call it, straightforward usage of any data is has become a commodity, I guess, and now more and more companies are learning that there's this data out there, and with the use of AI, there's much more things they can do with this data, and that's sort of a smooth segue into the AI portion of the conversation. I'm curious, how did AI impact your business? Did you change any of your service offerings, maybe the way you communicate with your customers, or just broadly, basically, how did AI change the way you approach business?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things that AI has done for us. I know there's the internal things that we've been doing and the external to our customers. So a lot of our customers are looking, they're coming to us and saying, we're building this application, right? And we have an AI engine that we want to use. So we want to take your data and infuse it into our AI to come up with the analytics, to come up with a new application, with new insights, with new um, confidence levels, whatever it might be. So we see an enormous amount of influx of startup companies. I would say that probably 30 to 40% are probably all startups. Most of them are all bootstraps. Most of them don't have. They have an idea, they have a concept, they don't have the money, but they know there's an opportunity out there. They want the world of data from us. They don't usually ask for just one data set. They say, can we have 7, 8, 9 data sets? And they have to figure how to put it together. So I think
Hmm.
in the world of AI, I know personally that I've done a lot of vibe coding and learned how very easily it is to put an application together. That's a real true working prototype that can be promoted out there as a custom solution. There are a lot of customers, a lot of prospects out there that are coming to us with those ideas and want to figure out how they can use our data. I know internally, in our world, in the world of data collection, which is we just don't sell the data, we collect the data. So we're the original source of data. So we collect it for a lot of the large corporations out there. They buy from us. um, so just using AI to standardize the data better, to get more insights from the data, to do more quality control. So I think the world of AI has definitely changed and will be significantly changing our industry in the next year and beyond. It's going to be exponential. I've seen it already. And so we're really infusing a lot of the aspects of AI into our sales process, our customer service process, our collection process, our QC process. So it's all around, and we need to get on board, and we need to not buck the trend. We need to go with the flow. So
For sure, especially adapting to all of these changes. I'm already seeing and I'm foreseeing a lot more of that coming, where a lot more early stage startups will have more access to the tools that they need to build out some early stage products. And on that note, I remember having a conversation with someone from your team, and they mentioned that you do support some of these startups at early stage. You try to help them. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you do that, how you support startups at early stages?
yeah, I know a lot of companies, a lot of other our competitors don't do that, right? They say, well, if you're if you're bootstrapped, we don't want to take you on. We feel that that's important. I mean, there are some kind of dry holes that we might drill with startups. We may say, well, they've lasted 3 months, and we've had those instances. But how we generally help them is we're obviously very careful. We like to learn what prospects are doing, right? So we go through the process with them. We find out what their mission is, what they're trying to achieve at the end, right? And we try to work with them not to over leverage them. I mean, they come to us and say, hey, we would want 6, 7, 8 data sets. This is what we're building. How much is it going to cost us? And we say, too much money for you guys. And they say, yeah, you're right. So then we try to work with them to try to figure out what is the best approach for them. Can they start in a smaller area of the country as a prototype, POC, whatever it might be? So we try to actually work with them versus just saying, well, we'll sell you the data, and then you can do what you want with it. So we learn as we go. We are careful with how we, for instance, price it with them, because we know if we over leverage them, they'll be out of business in no time flat. So we try to work with them like a real customer, part of the family, part of the company, to make sure they're successful. So it's a bit of a challenge because they want more than they can afford, and we try to accommodate that as best we can. But we try to learn their business. They try to learn what we try to do, what we're doing here at the Warren Group, and we work as a partner to get it past the finish line. That's how we work with them. Again, others, I don't know if they necessarily do that. It's more like transactional, where it's like, this is what they want. Okay, here's the price. Move on. We don't do that. We try not to do that.
Approach. I believe that building partnerships and helping grow the network around your business is the way to go. Obviously, working with larger businesses that can afford, the actual cost of the service is the preferred way, generally speaking. But if you can grow with the company, you're growing the next generation of these enterprises that you can then grow together.
Yeah,
Uh,
not all of them are going to turn out to be Amazon or companies like that, but there's a lot of these guys out there because of AI. They got this thought process. Let's go build the next better mousetrap. So again, we see a ton of those customers trying to come in, trying to get into the marketplace, trying to compete with the bigger guys, and with the technology, vibe coding, and just AI, they can accelerate that whole process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in terms of to wrap up the AI and startup part of the conversation, are you noticing that the startups or existing businesses or even enterprises, are there more aware of what's possible with the data sets? Because what we've noticed when working with some of the even larger property management companies, property owners, is that when we tell them what's available out there in terms of data, that they often got surprised even a year ago. And it feels like with AI and using chatbots and whatnot, this became more accessible. Do you feel that? Do you see that and reflected in your business?
No, absolutely. I think with it's almost keeping up with the Joneses. Everybody wants more data. They just don't know it's out there until you talk to them. And I think what I do when I have conversations with prospects is, it's the old adage: just all you got to do is listen to the customer, and they'll tell you what they want. Um, in most cases, to your point, they don't know the data is out there until you explain it to them. And once they find out that there's other data sets that are complementary, that are helpful in their mission. So yes, I have seen a lot of customers saying, "Hey, what else do you have?" Right? And you have that conversation, and it's eye-opening. To your point, it really is. And what we also try to do too is that sometimes we don't have the proper data set for them or the right information. We have partners across all sectors of the industry. We'll go out and try to find that information for them, because that gives them a better cohesive product that they're trying to build. Um, so it makes us a stronger partner with them, and that's what we try to do. We're more of a solutions rather than just a data seller, but people are definitely looking for, including the startups, looking for as much data as they can get their hands on, and actually getting data that's not even available, that's very hard to get. There's I think with AI, that will make life a lot easier. There will be other ways of getting that information that was never able to be attained before.
Enriching the existing data sets from
Exactly.
maybe various data providers. That's something that we hear often as well lately. And in terms of some of the challenges that you are facing currently, like what is something that you're focusing right now? It might be a challenge, or in contrast, the opportunity that you're looking into. What excites you the most at the currently?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges we have is that the data that we have is public records data. Unfortunately, it's not standardized out of the gate. It's all locally sourced. It's all different formats and structures and levels of quality and whatever else. So, with the world of AI, everything comes back, unfortunately, to AI. Is that AI is getting smarter, but it's also finding anomalies in our data sets, right? Because it's not perfect, never is. So, the challenge for me is making sure that we come up with the best quality data out there. So, I think fighting fire with fire, using AI within our own data set to find those problems before customers do, and making it the cleanest data set is going to be the most important thing that we can do as a company, and unfortunately as an industry, because even though we are one player, there are several out there, and these data sets are going to be filling these AI models. And if you give the AI models imperfect data, it's going to give you imperfect results, which is going to drive business strategies in a different way. So I think the most critical thing that we can do as an organization, as an industry, is we have to have better data given available to our customers, and then understanding what that is, and actually telling them what's wrong with the data at the same time. Because I think it's one thing to give them the data and say, "Yep, this is the best data," but it's never 100%. And telling the customer where the perils and pitfalls are is going to be the most important, so that they can adjust their modeling accordingly. Because if not, they'll figure it out eventually and come back to us and say, why isn't your data that good? Why is there a problem? So being very transparent about data is going to be critical and making it better at the end of the day.
Of course, at least them knowing what type of risk they are exposed to, and
Correct.
obviously, there's only up to a certain point that y- anyone can guarantee the validity or accuracy of the entirety of the data. So, be knowing that, because I know some of the larger investment companies obviously use your data to make, well, multi-million, if not billion,
Yeah, and
dollar decisions. So.
I think also people are looking at this at a more detailed level than they've ever done before. So they used
Mhm.
to look at it at a very high level, so you wouldn't see as many anomalies in the data. But now I think people are really getting to the point where solutions are being created at a micro level. So they're really looking at this at a granular transactional by transactional basis. So the data has to be perfect or as best as possible.
And in terms of we spoke an extent about your data services, but I know also that there's some layers on top of the data that you also provide in terms of maybe AVMs or similar capabilities. Does Warren Group provide any layers on top of the data out of the box?
Yeah, I mean, we have an AVM, we have SaaS applications where we take our own data that we produce and put into our own applications. So we have, for our lender segment, we have, lender market share information. So it's a website application where people can look and see competitors and rankings and things of that nature. Loan origination SaaS application where loan originators can go in and see what production levels they have. Um, we have portfolio analysis tools that take all our data and append it with existing other portfolios to figure out where the risks are and where fraud may happen within the data set. So um, the applications that we have are more localized. They're more in the New England area, whereas on the national scale, it's more of just selling the customized raw data solutions that we have.
Gotcha. Thank you. And as we start to wrap up the conversation, I just want to talk a little bit more about the future and what's the outlook. Can you tell us if there's any exciting initiatives that you're working on, and maybe where do you see the company or the broader industry in the next year, 3 years, 5 years?
Yeah, I think some of the stuff that we're working on, which I mentioned a little earlier, which is, we have to make the data better, right? So that's a huge initiative for us. I think that's going to kind of put us to the next level of where we need to be. I think the one critical piece that we have in our agenda is to make sure that since we have a number of different data sets, some of them don't talk to one another, right? So we need to make sure they talk to one another. So creating a, kind of a unique identifier across all data sets and making it easier for the customer to ingest the data is going to be critical, especially again, when it comes to AI, when if you give 15 disparate databases to AI and it's going to try to figure out how to match it together, it may work, but it's not going to understand all the nuances of combining that. So that's one of our critical pieces that we are looking at. I think another piece is, just like our customers are looking at coming up with new innovative products and services, we are doing that as well. I think, again, with the whole AI and vibe coding, we had a customer recently that said, "Hey, I love your product, but can you customize it?" And we went back to the original developer and said, "Yeah, it will cost you X amount of money." And they said, "That's way too much money just to customize it." So in my spare time, I created a version for them using vibe coding, and they are at the moment figuring out if they want to use it or not. So to create customized products for specific customers, I think is going to be critical because there are out there, again, startups that are trying to do this. I think other companies are looking for, you know, very niche products that will be very selective in what they're trying to achieve. So I think working on that in analytics is going to be critical for us going forward.
Thank you, David. And to wrap up the conversation, the last thing that I wanted to ask, maybe you have any advice for these early startup companies that want to work in real estate tech, prop tech, and especially work with data. Any advice or any thoughts that you'd like to share?
I think the hard part is really understanding what the end game is, right? What the mission of the product you're trying to build, right? Um, Understanding the lay of the land of the how public records works, because not everybody understands that. I've given up a lot of education to companies, explaining how we do it, what we do it, and why we do it, and they're amazed at all the complexities of it. And I know that there's been a lot of talk in the industry. Well, anybody can go collect it via AI. They can just put a bot on and it'll collect it. Um, that is not the case. It is very hard to understand real estate. It's not rocket science, but you really got to understand what data you really want and understand it before you build a product. Um, it's it's we I kind of look at it as we're the gas. You can build your great Formula One car racer. You can get a Ferrari. You get a Toyota Camry, but
Or a
ultimately,
plane?
or a plane, and we're the fuel that runs all that. And you have to understand that, we got, what fuel do you want? What type of fuel do you want? High test? What do you want? You have to understand before you build the car what type of gas you need in that, because we have the gas that runs your vehicle at this point. So I think that's the most critical thing that I've seen, that people just don't get the real estate industry. They know they want to build something, but then they get an education like, oh, I didn't realize that. Maybe I have to go back to the drawing board and start again. And that causes time and effort and money. So I think that's the most critical piece.
Think it's a very interesting dimension. Basically, before, let's say 2 years ago, what we've noticed is that the lack of knowledge, the exposure to what's available. Now it's the opposite, where people are just bombarded with the capabilities, especially with AI, and they need to be able to choose which route they want to go, but also just narrowing the focus into something specific and understanding what part of the service you want to provide to your end customers, and that's the dimension I believe that you're directing to, and I fully agree with that.
Yeah, and I think, when people come to us, we try to educate them, right? Because they
Hmm.
know there's a lot. There may be a lot out there. They may be things out there they're not aware of, but we kind of sew everything together for them. We try to explain the best we can. We can't be experts in 50 different industries. I've been doing this for 30 years. I still learning things every single day and trying to figure things out, but we're able to a certain degree kind of sew the mission and the data together to make a comprehensive understanding of what they're trying to do. So it's hard. It's not, again, rocket science, but it takes some effort.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Really appreciate you joining the podcast. It was great having you on. Please check out the warrengroup.com website for more details about the business, and subscribe to our channel for our regular discussions about PropTech and everything related to that. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much for having me.